Miami Heat, Miami Heat, Miami Heat. It feels like Miami.
Welcome to the Miami Heat Beat podcast show. I'm your host today, Franky Garcia. With me, rocking the Laces basketball club t-shirt and the St. Louis hat, Miss Tiffany Meeks. How are you doing today?
Good. I'm still in this undisclosed location, just so y'all know.
They ain't gonna find you, Tiff. Don't worry.
Call the playroom.
We see the Legos in the background. It looks like
dead giveaway.
And you just heard him. That's Alphonse Sidney in the very, very nice. Is that the Hangover Time shirt or the Heat?
Oh, that's the it's always Heat and 5, which hasn't been true for years. It's
the other way.
Yeah, it's Heat are always out in 5. No, it's it harkens back to a simpler time.
I miss it. Good times.
Good times.
We all had a great time this morning with a very surprise trade for most of us. Apparently, if you follow 5 Reasons Sports, they dropped this little hints at this nugget last night. But Norman Powell is a Miami Heat. I hate saying that. Miami Heat. The Heat. He's a Heatle. Okay.
No,
and at the cost of one Kyle Anderson and one Kevin Love, 2 guys that, frankly, all things considered, they probably weren't going to play much this year.
Right.
They were looking for teams to get to take these deals. They jumped in on this John Collins trade to the Clippers, and they picked up a guy who was a borderline all-star. I think this is a home run. Tiff, what are your thoughts?
I like a couple of things. I like I was saying to you earlier, it's not a direction, but can be a direction. Because as we said, his contract is expiring. So that's a slot you're opening up. If you like him, you can re-sign him, but you at least have a couple of directions that you could go in. You could sign him. You could trade some other people. Like they do have a lot of flexibility with bringing him in. I was saying to you, he's a big body. That's one thing. He could shoot the lights out, defend a little bit, and for all intents and purposes, listen, never heard a bad thing about that guy. So this is where I'm landing.
I completely agree with that. Alf, what were your thoughts when you heard about this trade?
So for the most part, I really like it, right? Like, to me, it's just like this no-brainer, really good, really low cost, really low risk, just a tremendous move, right? Like, you get a guy like Norman Powell, like you said, borderline all-star, a guy who shoots the 3 at the same rate as Duncan pretty much, right? But he's a better defender, and he can create off the dribble better than Duncan can. He's an upgrade from Duncan, and it costs basically nothing because,
right.
Honestly, it's an upgrade because now Spo won't play slow-mo, right? And Kevin Love
R.I.P. slow-mo.
Yeah, R.I.P. slow-mo. Love Kevin Love to death, but to be honest, he wasn't available 90% of the time. Whatever's going on, I know he had a lot of stuff going on with his family, and I love him, but he wasn't available. And when he was available, it was like real sometimey. It was hit or miss. Right. Like when he was playing consistent minutes and he was there, it felt like, okay, he was impactful when he came in. But the last year of Kevin Love has mostly been about vibes, right? It has been way more about vibes than actual basketball play. So I don't, and you know me, Franky, I don't care about them being better this year, right? So that part of it, I'm happy to have Norm. I think that's a really good move. It's a smart move. It's the kind of move we'll probably talk about this later. I wish they would have been making the last 2-3 years. Mm-hmm. These opportunistic pounce on shit moves. Listen, I kept saying this is the best move they made in years. I'm wrong. This is the best move they made since Davion Mitchell. Another guy I wish they would have I wish they would have gotten when Jimmy was here, right? So I'm glad they're doing things like this. Like, to get a guy like Norm Powell and give up no draft capital when the last move we saw they made before this Davion trade was to get a guy like Terry and give up a first-round pick. Listen, night and day when you look at those two deals. Right. But for me, going forward, it's like, what is this a precursor to? I think that was part of your point. It's like, this can mean a lot of different things, right? It takes him out of the Beal sweepstakes. And if anybody's followed me online, I wanted to bring in Beal because I felt like that was a precursor to moving Tyler. I don't know if Norm Powell gives you the justification of trading Tyler Hero for picks at this point. I think in my little front office brain it would, but I don't think the Heat brass can justify that move like they could have if they brought in a guy like Beal. And then and ever since the Kevin Durant thing, I said I feel like a lot of what they're doing is saving face. So the optics of bringing in Norm Powell, trading Tyler Hero doesn't feel like winning the way Beal and then trading Hero would, even though either of them really resulted with it. But yeah, I love the deal because it just makes a shit ton of sense. I'm very anxious to see what they do next.
Yeah, like you said, like I feel like they would have had options to like still be competitive and watchable in if they brought in Beal. And he could fill in some of the stuff with Tyler does with a little bit more playmaking and off-ball movement. But they were going to get something ideally from if they move Tyler in that respect. So I get what you're saying. But yeah, like I thought this was a no-brainer. You trade two guys, end of the bench. You cleared out a roster spot, which allows you to get make another move in the future.
That's the thing, Frank. I forgot to mention the fact that they cleared a roster spot
without giving up anything.
Without giving up anything, right? Usually they like attach a pick to give up to open up that roster spot. They didn't have to do it. Now, knowing the Heat, that roster spot won't be filled till about January 18th. But you know, maybe they will bring UD back. But at least they have that spot. But yeah, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but that was my other thing about it. It was just overall just such a smart move.
No, 100%. But it also, either way, if you're trying to contend, and I think you guys feel the same as I do, that they're lying to us. They're not going to really do this youth movement. They're going to try to compete. And if it doesn't work, they're like, oh, we're trying the young guys. Like, I think they're opening themselves up to pivots for however they play on the court. But they needed shooting and scoring very badly, especially with the loss of Duncan. Fontecchio can shoot, but Powell is much more proven, gets defended like a shooter. Top 5 in the league in transition points per game. So that's an aspect I want to talk about in a little bit. But you get this guy for no cost, no picks, 2 end of bench guys. Slow-mo, you don't really want to play him because he's in the way of your other young guys. And Kevin Love, like you said, is a shell of himself. Thank you for your service, but shell of yourself. And they pick up a guy who, if it doesn't work, you have this veteran leadership, the 3-point shooting and all that. And if it doesn't work, he's an expiring $20 million a year, very easily movable contract that they could flip at the deadline to get some stuff. And Tiff, like, that's the kind of moves that they need to be taking. And I think that's exactly what they did here.
And also, like, I'm supposed to believe somebody named Fontecchio is going to play. He ain't playing. Like, let's see. We got like 4 dudes on the bench that we know not playing. Like, some of the young guys will get some run, but the reality is, Bam, Tyler, Norm, Davion, like Wiggins, if he's still there, like they're going to play these guys. And it may be to the detriment of some, but they're gonna play these guys. What you hope is, no shade, if you still playing Wiggins, maybe he struggles. Maybe he gets less minutes, and then maybe you throw in a young guy to kind of see what he could do for you. That's my hope if you're gonna keep all these guys.
I guess for me, and I know there's a glut of guards, kind of. With no point guard, which is weird. I know Casper's supposedly a point guard, but every time he has the ball for more than 10 seconds in summer league, he gets it stolen. But when I look at Norm, he's not the one, because when we talk about youth movement, who are we talking about, right? We want to see Jaime, Jovic, Ware play. I feel like those are the guys that when we talk about youth. These other guys, like these fringe Kashad Johnsons, Like, okay, listen, I know everyone gonna get mad at me. I don't believe in these guys that much. I'm sorry. Like the G League star, the star big in G League, like it always just I'm thinking Yante Martin, whatever his name was. I'm thinking Omer Yurtseven. Like I'm those like the 6'9" guy and that dominates G League in the post. It just never works. Okay, I like Kashad, super athletic.
Yeah,
and honestly, if there was just like nobody in front of him, that'd be sure play him all day long. I don't care if they win or lose, right? We gotta get Alf on the Sioux Falls beat. Like that would be the worst thing in the entire world. I'm like,
they don't want that.
I'm like, yeah, he's nice, nigga, but it's Sioux Falls. Like
it's you and Major Passons breaking
right, breaking down the games.
All of my analysis would be like, but it's Sioux Falls, okay? Like, so let's chill a little bit. But really, like the positions where we're talking about somebody being in the way of that youth movement, youth development, was a guy like Slow-Mo.
Yeah.
Okay. Now it's a guy like Wiggins.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying.
Like Wiggins, to me, like as much as I would love if they traded Hero, I don't really think it's going to happen. Like I just think it's almost too smart, right? And I don't trust his front office to do anything that smart. Like today was a shock. Like
yeah, I think that's why it's a whole run because nobody expected them to do something this smart.
Franky, today is the day that like the Raptors or somebody else made this move, and we're like, we could have had Norman Powell for that.
Yeah,
like that is what this move was today. Today we're the team. Like other people, like Norman Powell could have been Slow-Mo. Like so, I just don't trust they're going to do the Tyler Hero trade. But Wiggins has to be next.
Yeah,
and I'm totally with the Heat about standing firm about trying everything they can to get a first for Wiggins.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
Wait till they get desperate. Wait till someone's going to get desperate for a guy.
Someone's going to get hurt, and they need a rotation player.
I think somebody's going to get desperate for Wiggins and Terry because, like you just said,
look at
but listen, all the injuries. I'm telling you,
you flirting right now. You talking real sexy.
Hold on, I want to ruin the mood a little bit because this guy's been waiting forever. Let's bring G in.
I ruined the mood.
Yeah, because we're having fun. And
damn,
it's like when your boss walks in and he's like, "Hey guys, what's everyone laughing about?" Nothing.
You motherfucker.
Tiff just posted nudes with that Terry.
I was listening to that. And I was like, man, that's a down bad I had never seen.
Listen. I've been at the club at the end of the night looking for a Terry Rozier myself.
You talk yourself into it. He did average 24 points per game.
Dare you say you were willing to take a gamble?
Listen, I'd have wasted a first round pick. I'm not gonna lie. That desperation was real.
So G could not wait to bring in another 2019 Raptor to the fold.
Oh, I should have worn my Raptor hat today.
If you did, we would have you would not be on the show.
Oh man,
but G,
fumble by me.
As someone who's watched more Norman Powell than any of us, in all likelihood, what did you think about the trade?
Do you want me to answer that for like an on the court thing or like a more macro?
Macro first. We're gonna get to on the court in a second.
Yeah, I mean, I think it makes sense to kind of get more expiring money. I think, and Alf, you and I were texting about this earlier. I kind of felt that the more I thought about it, the more it feels like this is a play for Luka because you bring in a guy who is a really good role player who can play multiple positions, who is going to get extended, and they can either keep him with their bird rights or they can sign him to a mid-level after they have him in the system and start negotiating early. And I think that this is all a play to make as much cap space as possible, which is why you see them. When do you ever see them be so aggressive to get a player like Wiggins out the door? Right? It's because I feel like they want to clear money. So I guess my macro thing was like, well, they got two guys out the door who likely weren't going to contribute. They brought in a guy who's going to help them next year because we know that at the end of the day, they're just not going to try to be the worst team in the league. So he'll help them. And I think that, you need some vets to help the development of the other guys. But I think ultimately, like, they are looking at 2026. They've told you, they've telegraphed this throughout pretty much the entire Jimmy Butler exit, that their next pivot was this. And this is just, to me, this was such a no-brainer move that serves your now and your tomorrow with that. and they're going to have a ton of expiring money. And by the way, if they want to trade him mid-season, he's a $20 million contract that's expiring. That's really easy. You can get to like real easy money with him and Rozier together that's expiring, plus whatever picks it includes. So like, it's just a really savvy move, I think, all around, not even talking about what he provides on the court.
Yeah, and before we get to the court stuff, I do want to, since G's here, chat is asking about the luxury tax. Because they took in more money on this trade than they sent out. They are in the first apron now, right?
I believe so. Yeah. So I recommend everybody, if you have cap questions, go to Yossi Gozlan's Twitter account. I think he's like the best after Brian Goins, of course. He's really like the best guy doing the cap right now. He has the heat. I saw that Bobby Marks with ESPN said they were over the tax. Brian Goins and Yossi believe that that's not correct. They're 3.9 million below it, according to Yossi's calculations, with 14 players. And that's the other thing, Frankie, that I think is important, is that they create a roster spot, because if they were to trade Wiggins to the Lakers to match his money, it has to be Rui plus somebody else to get to that figure. And Miami couldn't do that with 15 men on the roster. So this is like, if there was a move before the move, that's what it looks like. They're still below the tax. They're about 4 million below the tax. So they can even sign a guy at the buyout or convert one of their two ways if they stay at 14. So I think if they don't trade Wiggins for some Laker package, I think it's very likely that they just stay at 14 and convert Drew Smith or that center that they have.
Or Dame. There you go.
Oh, exactly. Or Beal.
Or Beal if he's available.
I think Beal's going to get some money somewhere.
It seems like the Clippers.
And when I say some money, it's gonna be like $8 million. But
yeah.
Clippers, to be honest.
Yeah, the Clippers. Some experts think that they did this to get Beal and possibly like CP3 in the door. But I do want to talk about the on the court stuff, because me and Tiff, we were talking about this before the pod, and they're like, Powell needs to kind of buy in. Like 5 Reasons discussed this about him being like such a great 6-man the last 2 years before the season. But this is a guy on a contract year, his likely last big contract coming up. So he has motivation to start and get a lot of shots up. So Tiff, what are your what do you think about the on-court fit?
I mean, I haven't watched a lot of his game, but from what I've watched, I think he's a seamless fit, unless you're telling me you're going to put him and Tyler in the backcourt together. I don't like that fit, because I don't know who's handling the business. So I don't really like that fit. But if you're telling me he's going to come off the bench, I love it. Does he love it? I have no idea. But if he can come off the bench, 6-man, that'd be great. I don't know. Maybe if you put him in the lineup instead of Wiggins at the 3.
Yeah, but they got to start Wiggins. I mean,
no, I know, but I'm just saying, like, these are the options. Either he's a 6-man.
But this is why I think the Wiggins thing has to happen, right? Like, it just there's some like let's say if Jovic started over Wiggins because Wiggins got shipped out, right? Then you could put. I think you could start Powell and Hero together. The problem with Hero is when Hero's the sole ball handler in your starting unit, like you can't get the ball past half court, right? It's like, and no shade to Tyler, which was plenty shade to Tyler. Why am I bullshitting? He's not a point guard. Powell isn't a point guard. Like, because you remember Tyler and Duncan starting together last year was actually okay when Jimmy was in the lineup
and Highsmith.
And like when they had other ball, like Highsmith wasn't a ball handler. Highsmith was helping as far as defensively, but Jimmy was that other ball handler. So it wasn't like you could just trap Tyler and there was no outlet, right? Jimmy was always there. So I think if, like, let's say if it was my wet dream, Jovic, Ware, Bam in the front court with a backcourt of Powell and Hero, and Wiggins was out of here. I'm loving that, because I think Jovic could take some of that ball handling duty away from Hero, and then you got Norman Powell, who knows how to play off ball. You got Bam, who knows how to play off ball. My only problem would be, like, now there has to be something done about this Jovic Hero thing. And I think Jovic and Hero played well together. I think Rozier was really the problem, which he's always the problem. But I really think that unit could work. But once you put Wiggins in there, like I don't trust Wiggins with the ball in his hands at all. That shit ain't because they ain't coming out of his hands unless it's a terrible pass or way too late.
and that's the thing that they needed another ball handler in there. And I don't think Powell's that guy, but he can make plays. Like he's not a bad passer. He was in the for assist percentage 39th percentile this season. For granted, he was looking more to score with injuries to Kawhi all season, but 2 seasons ago was in the 97th percentile with the 21. Oh, that's a small sample size. Ignore that. But he's a capable passer in the sense where like you're not gonna give him the ball and expect him to create for others, but he can make reads, and I think
he's a capable dribbler. That's my whole problem. Like
it's gonna be DHO heavy. It's gonna be
capable dribblers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't expect him to bring the ball up much, but I expect him to play off Bam, use the screens, leverage his shot, and me and Tiff were talking about it. Like I mentioned earlier, he finished 5th in the league in points per game in transition. You have all this youth. Is this the year Spo finally looks at his roster and says, "Hey, I have a roster that can push pace and should probably push pace to try to get the most out of these guys"?
Nope.
I want to get your thoughts.
I don't think Powell's going to help them push pace. And I by the way, I think that Davion should be the starter, and I think that making Tyler play point guard is a fool's errand. I don't really think that that's going to be helpful for their offense at all. And I don't think that Powell should start. I don't think Powell should start. I think Powell should come off the bench. I do think that like he's probably like a better bucket getter at this point than Andrew Wiggins. But I think that you have to also think of your defense, and I think they finally found stability at the point of attack. And I think that after all we went through, to just go back to hero and wear and pick and roll, defensively, I don't think I want to go back. And I don't know if Spo wants to go back. So I'm okay with Norm coming off the bench. I think he can score. I don't know if he'll push pace because he doesn't do that. And they'll never play at that pace, as Franky was saying. So, but I think most importantly, he gives them a genuine downhill option. I don't think he's like a really high usage guy for them. Like he's not gonna hub their offense
right
against starters, because he just doesn't have the playmaking for that. And I think we have to remember, I think Miami's shooting is still shaky. I think, as good as Highsmith has been as a shooter, defenses don't respect him in the way that, he shoots a really good percentage, but defenses do not react to him the way that they should. I think Davion's the same. Davion shot really, really well from 3. And defenses are like, well, show us for another season or whatever. And I guess we'll see how that adjusts. But, his playmaking is going to be put to a test here. He's, when he was in Toronto, think of all the playmakers he had around him. He had Marc Gasol, he had Kyle Lowry, he had Fred VanVleet. Kawhi Leonard was the worst playmaker on the floor sometimes. Like that was a really high IQ team that he was able to just kind of blend in and kind of just play off those guys. And there on the Clippers, Harden, even at this age, is an advanced playmaker. Zubac is a really good playmaker for his position. So I do think that we have to temper our expectations that he's not just going to come here. I think his averages are going to take a hit. I think his points per game, all that stuff's going to take a hit. But I think it's like a really good addition that's going to help them. I just don't know if he should be starting. And I don't think defensively he's also like he's over 30, and I don't think he was ever like a stopper, but he was like a pretty solid, like if he's kind of like a Max Strus, where if Max is your weak link, you're doing really, really good, right? Because he's like a really solid guy who, you're just not getting anything easy out of him.
Mm-hmm.
But at his age, he's taking a hit, and I think you need defenders on the floor. So if their goal is to win as many games as possible, then I think he should come off the bench. It should be Dambia, unless they trade Wiggins. Then trading Wiggins changes everything. Then, of course, you start him. But it should be the starters day one, unless something goes weird in preseason and camp. Should be Tyler and Davion in the backcourt and Wiggins at the 3.
So you want to end it? You want to start the year how we ended it?
Well, kind of. I just don't think that
G wants a lottery pick.
Right.
I do want a lottery pick. But
I listen, G. The soft tank. I feel you.
Right.
Let's got it's still
Listen,
they be finding the Jazz. You know what I mean?
Listen, I said if you got Wiggins, then he should be your sixth man.
You're
My thing
absolutely
is,
right. Yeah.
if he's your sixth man, let him get all the shots he wants. Because who else is shooting?
I think like off the bench too, and Frankie, you have watched the summer league more than I have. I think that that Jaku could use a real threat to kind of have on the floor. Like
Jaku should not be on the floor yet.
like he's gonna have to. Well,
No,
remember,
dude, listen.
remember stealth tank, Tiff.
He
Stealth
has to
tank.
go to G. He has to go to the G League.
Let's keep it on Powell.
Okay.
Because
Man,
But I
no,
do
I'm
think
sorry.
that
It's
I
just
feel
bringing
like
it
the
up.
development.
I feel like if we play that, what's it, Juku? I call him Casper.
I
If
call
we
him
play
Cash.
Casper too much, we're gonna destroy that motherfucker's confidence because he listen.
They're hiding him in summer league. It's crazy.
Thank you, motherfucker. I'm not a draft beat guy, but woof.
The draft league like the pick.
No, I'm just saying.
We like them taking a shot. We like he has the most tools out of there. There was a guy that we liked a lot more, but we didn't like. I didn't scout Casper because he was projected to go lottery.
I did.
So yeah, Tiff did more scout on him.
They told me on the timeline he was going on Dragic.
Yeah, I heard
like,
Manu. I heard
he closer to Zoran.
Yeah, they were crazy. But to get back,
y'all lied to me.
Hey man,
I'm sorry.
that's a game 82 legend.
Listen, I'm sorry. They lied to me, and I know it's only been like 1.5 summer league games. It's not a big. Listen, from what I've seen so far, he can't dribble good. What are we doing?
Hey,
like he dribbles.
Ronnie James had him in the torture chamber.
He dribbles fancy, but he don't dribble good. Like, what are we doing? I'm sorry. I don't mean to derail the program, but god damn, when I say I've never been lied to like this since the Epstein files.
You mean today?
You mean the non-files? Frankie, go ahead. We lost all direction.
Yeah, I want to talk, but a lot of people have been talking about him being the Duncan replacement as a better overall scorer. Alf, this is what we're talking about in the Duncan replacement. Some attitude, somebody who will stand up for themselves, get into scraps. They miss that now that Duncan's gone, because I don't expect Fontecchio to be doing this.
He ain't gonna be on the floor.
Yeah, well, first of all, Fontecchio about to be stretched and waved. Like a pantsuit on a Carnival cruise line.
Those are my people.
Sorry.
Norman Powell said, "Don't pick me up, man. What's wrong with you? Look.
Hey, man, Jamal's pretty strong to do that. That's a guy must weigh quite a bit. That was one arm.
I think Norm jumped a little bit.
He did. He said, "Hey,
look. Yeah." I like it because
I actually believe that Norman's going to fight him.
Yeah.
No, I see. Norm Powell's always a guy I've liked. I've always liked his fire. He's him next to Davion Mitchell. Oh God, that's.
Oh yeah.
I think low key Tyler should go off the bench.
Wow.
Well, we all think that, G, for the last how many years?
Like you can't obviously he was an all-star and I think he's a good player. I'm just kind of intrigued by Norman Powell, Davion Mitchell, Tyler Hero off the bench, Wiggins. That's a pretty solid defensive lineup.
I don't want to watch Wiggins.
Neither do the Heat.
That's why they traded for this guy. Look at these transition threes, pull-ups. They got a legitimate shooter though, and a guy who can score, and we know they've been bottom 10 in offense the last 3 seasons. So somebody who can fill up the stat sheet and doesn't need the ball to dribble like Terry does to get his.
Franky, they're gonna run him off a handoff and they're gonna ruin him.
What's gonna happen when him and Tyler start doing your turn, my turn?
Well,
Tyler might be scared of Norm.
That's when the lottery pick comes in. We start that's a sneaky tank, stealth tank right there.
But a lot of what you guys are talking about is just like, okay,
that was a good pass by James.
We like the move, but what's next? Because it isn't. He's a really good player at a really good cost, but he's not a good fit. And he's not a good fit because there's not a lot of good fit on this team with the way it's currently constructed.
Alf, I kind of disagree with that. I think he's a great fit because I think he's good at the thing that they need most. He can score, he can shoot, and he can.
How is he a great fit if we don't know who the fuck he's supposed to start next to or play next to, or he can't.
I think he'll get
He
he'll
can't
get
play
30
next to
plus
half
minutes.
our roster. Like,
I'm
our
guessing-
roster's
No,
bad.
he can play next to he's just like, I think he's just not a better player than Andrew Wiggins. Well,
Is
he
he
might.
not?
I think
is
Wiggins.
he?
I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe. Listen, this could be a situation. Now, I don't think they would do this because I do think that would hurt Wiggins' trade value if they bring him off the bench. But
you're too small then.
there's an argument. Yeah, but you're big up front though. That you can, you're so big up front that you can offset that a little bit.
But who's starting at the 3 in
You
this?
can start. I mean, he played a lot of. So I was looking.
Are you saying
at
like Norm, Tyler, Davion?
So Norm played 65% of his possessions at the 3 last season for the Clippers.
But that
And
they
the
had
year before that, it was around 44, and in Toronto, it was lower. It was about 60, 61, and he oscillated in 21-22. But that was because they didn't have a lot of guards. So I mean, he could play both pretty well, and he has a 6'11" wingspan.
No, I don't doubt that for stretches like that he could play. But the Clippers last season had James Harden at the 1, that Zubac. It wasn't like they were struggling with size. Chris Dunn played a lot, and he's a big guard. Like they had a lot of guys that can guard multiple positions. It's
I think
not
Davion
like Tyler.
plays tough though. Like I think Davion can play pretty tough. I think Bam covers a lot. I don't know. I think you can get away with it.
I think for stretches, but starting is asking a lot for the guy for Bam. Like you're playing really, really small up front, and I think Norm is capable, like you said, as a max, like as a guy, like you want him to be your worst defender. But if you're playing him with Tyler, you're really small along the perimeter, and bigger wings will take advantage of that.
I think it's easier if you play him at like the 3, because then like if they're kind of putting Tyler and him in a 1-3 pick and roll or something, or a 2-3 pick and roll, then you have a lot of size on the back end to help. I mean, you have Bam not in the action. You know what I mean? You have Ware not in the action if they're both on the floor. So I think that you can kind of help yourself on the back end because they'd have to put those guys in the pick and roll, and you can kind of load up, or you can, do stuff like that. So
Tiff, did you hear when I said Fontecchio about to be stretched and waved like a bodysuit on a Carnival cruise line? Nobody. I think I might have said pantsuit, but either way, it's a good joke. And
I missed it. You said he about to be looking like an Incredible.
I didn't even hear that. Alf, did you hear Tiff's joke?
He just railroaded me on some horns and nail shit.
Nah, but hold on. The Tiff's joke last week. Did you see Tyler lost his eyebrows?
Yeah, I don't know what happened there.
Tiff said he lost some gambling with Rozier.
Oh man,
Dude, that was like joke of the year.
He lost it to the Sharks.
he was hanging out with Jay Leno.